And good afternoon, everyone. This is Zirui from Nanjing University, and today it's my pleasure to introduce you UBA-Inf, an unlearning activated backdoor attack with inference-driven camouflage. Well, let's begin with some easy takeaways about this work's contribution. Firstly, UBA-Inf uncovers vulnerabilities in machine learning. Secondly, this work exposes a disturbing potential for combining backdoor attacks and machine learning. And lastly, it advances persistent backdoor attacks in continual learning. Then let's start with the background. In this work, we focus on security issues in machine learning as a service, or MLaaS, a cloud service that offers machine learning applications with data collection and model training. MLaaS can train in two modes. The first is one-time training, where the model is trained at one time on fixed data, and the second is continuous training, where the model is continuously updated with ongoing tasks and newly incoming data. Well, in this work, we focus on security concerns of machine learning and backdoor attacks in MLaaS. Machine learning allows models to forget specific data, reducing biases and preventing privacy leakage. It's crucial for revoking private data and harmful information, sometimes to protect the secure model. Unlearning can be exact by retraining the model, or approximate by adjusting model parameters. MLaaS users can request data removal, which introduces new security risks. And backdoor attacks in MLaaS pose serious threats, where adversaries insert hidden triggers to induce the model to misclassify inputs. The objective is to create a model that appears normal, maintaining high binary accuracy on clean samples, but misclassify samples that from the non-target class as a target class when triggered by a specific pattern, resulting in high attack success rate, or ASR. With these backgrounds, our work, UBA-Inf, is driven by some key motivations. Well, firstly, machine learning introduces new vulnerabilities beyond traditional AI risks like data poisoning or inference attacks. The unlearning process itself can be exploited by adversaries, adding complexity to security concerns. In this work, we explore the potential for backdoor attacks within unlearning, aiming to deepen our understanding of these emerging security challenges. Another motivation for our work is that traditional backdoor often lacks fine-grained control. Typically, backdoors are inserted during offline training in the very initial place, but they are not exploited until online use, leading to unstable behavior in between these two different stages. Machine learning, however, offers adversaries a way to exploit vulnerabilities between training and inference, enabling more precise control over backdoor attacks. And the final motivation is the challenge of keeping backdoors effective in continuous training. As models update with new data, they often forget previously learned information, so-called catastrophic forgetting, which can then weaken or erase a backdoor. This raises concerns about how persistent a backdoor can be in continuous learning. Our work investigates how machine learning can enhance backdoor persistence in such settings. Building on these motivations outlined above, our work combines backdoor attacks with machine learning in MLaaS to highlight unlearning vulnerabilities and more potential backdoor pipelines. More specifically, we present a new method where adversaries inject camouflage samples that conceal the backdoor initially in training and then activate the hidden backdoor by malicious unlearning. This approach enhances the stealth, robustness, and fine-grained control of backdoor attacks. Before we delve into the technical details, let's outline the threat model first. In our setting, the adversary can update the target model by adding or removing samples through learning or unlearning requests. They have access to auxiliary datasets similar to the real training data and a surrogate model trained on a very different dataset, but for the same task. This assumption is feasible due to the adversary has some knowledge of the model service. However, they cannot access neither the target model's parameters nor the full training data, which makes a black box setting. Meanwhile, the service provider collects data, trains the model, handles unlearning requests, and implements defenses against attacks. Considering the motivations and threat models mentioned above, we claim there are two key elements crucial to designing UBA-Inf. The first is to create effective camouflage samples to hide and later activate the backdoor. And the second is to execute the full attack pipeline, which includes training, inference, and machine learning. Let's start with how we create camouflage samples. UBA-Inf uses label correction, which creates samples with a backdoor trigger, but keeping their true labels. This approach aims to disconnect the trigger from the target class. During training, these samples help hide the backdoor. Later, when these camouflage samples are removed through unlearning, which essentially reverse the learning process, this disconnection is thus reversed, and the backdoor is thus reactivated. Label correction is a simple yet effective method, as in previous researches. However, our experiments show its limitations. Hidden backdoors can still be partly detectable, and approximate unlearning might not fully activate the backdoor. To improve camouflage effectiveness, we use inference function, which analyzes how training data affects model predictions by using the quadratic Heisenberg matrix to assess each data point's impact. It offers two main benefits. First, inference function is easy to apply to label-corrected camouflage to maximize their negative influence on backdoor through perturbation, and it is widely used in model analysis and unlearning algorithms. We calculate influence on a circuit model to maintain the black box setting. To create UBA-Inf camouflage samples, we use an iterative approach. The adversary begins with a circuit model trained on a different dataset and an auxiliary dataset similar to the real training data. Our method is adaptable to various backdoor trigger designs. The process starts by fine-tuning the circuit model on the auxiliary data. Then we create backdoor samples and camouflage samples. The camouflage samples come from a non-target class, have the backdoor trigger attached, but maintain their correct labels. We refine the camouflage samples through several iterations. Each time, we fine-tune the circuit model with both backdoor and camouflage samples. Influence functions are used to determine how the camouflage samples affect the backdoor, guiding adjustments to reduce the model's response to the backdoor trigger while keeping perturbations minimal. After a few iterations, the camouflage samples are optimized and ready for use. Then let me introduce the whole attack pipeline in one-time training MLaaS. Well, first, the adversary creates and injects both backdoor and camouflage samples into the victim model. Once the model is trained and publicly available, the adversary waits to submit unlearning requests to remove the camouflage samples. After these camouflage samples are removed, the backdoor becomes active and can be exploited during inference. Meanwhile, in continuous training MLaaS, the model is updated with new data from ongoing tasks. The adversary injects both backdoor and camouflage samples into several tasks. More backdoor samples may be needed to ensure high SR right after injection. However, with continuous updating, the backdoor's impact can decrease due to catastrophic forgetting. The adversary tracks the attack success rate, and when it falls below a set threshold, 50% in our case, the adversary requests to unlearn the camouflage samples. Such unlearning reactivates the backdoor, boosting ASR and improving backdoor persistence in continuous training. For evaluation, we tested UBA-Inf on 4 datasets and 3 model architectures. We focused on binary accuracy and attack success rate. We evaluated both exact unlearning using full retraining and SISA and approximate unlearning with 3 different algorithms. Results show that UBA-Inf not only achieves a low attack success rate of around 15% before unlearning, but also it can effectively reactivate the backdoor after unlearning, with the ASR rising close to 100%. We evaluate UBA-Inf stealthiness by evaluating it on backdoor defenses. Let me first talk about the stealthiness before unlearning. We compared the reverse triggers of neural cleans. UBA-Inf's camouflage made the reverse trigger much more distorted than that with no camouflage or merely label-corrected camouflage, highlighting superior ability of concealment. Additionally, tests with other defenses like sample filters or model scanners confirmed that UBA-Inf hides the backdoor more effectively than methods with no camouflage or only label-corrected camouflage. We then assess UBA-Inf's effectiveness in maintaining backdoor stealthiness after unlearning. As shown in the upper left part of the PPT, UBA-Inf samples remain hidden from the model scanners even after approximate unlearning with normal-looking anomaly scores. Our results also indicate that current unlearning defenses are ineffective against UBA-Inf because the camouflage samples blend in with normal data, making them hard to filter out. Finally, we tested UBA-Inf's resilience to model reconstruction defenses. The table on the right shows that UBA-Inf can still be activated by unlearning even after reconstruction defenses applied. Overall, UBA-Inf proves to be highly effective in enhancing backdoor stealthiness and resistance. While last, we also evaluate UBA-Inf's persistence in continuous training using two datasets. UBA-Inf aims to prevent backdoor vanishing due to catastrophe forgetting in continual learning. Our experiments show that UBA-Inf improves persistence by 4 times with only 2% of the total training samples used for poisoning and unlearning. This is the first study to our past knowledge to explore enhancing backdoor persistence in continual learning through machine unlearning, rather than just replaying poisoning in continuous training. Well, in summary, let's revisit the takeaways and conclusions. UBA-Inf makes several important contributions. First, it reveals new vulnerabilities in machine unlearning, offering key insights of the security field. Second, it shows how combining backdoor attacks with machine unlearning can lead to more controlled, stealthy, and resilient attacks. Lastly, it explores machine unlearning can make backdoor attacks more persistent in continual learning, posing a more advanced threat than traditional replay attacks. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for listening. If you had any questions, feel free to ask or just contact me with a presented email.